Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and iTWire TV interview. I'm joined again by the CEO of Appian, Matt Calkins. He is the co-founder and CEO of the global low-code technology business Appian. This is a true disrupting company, and Matt himself is a true tech disruptor. And we interviewed Matt last October in a video interview that will be embedded into this article that this video is in. You can find information on that. And obviously, I highly recommend you to watch it. But Matt, welcome back to iTWire TV.
Alex, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Now, as I said, it's been around 8 months since we last spoke. But for those who are watching for the first time, can you please explain what Appian does, what low code is, why that's important, and why it's revolutionizing coding and business?
Absolutely. Appian's a software company. We create a platform, and that platform is a low-code platform. Low-code, in case you haven't heard of it, is the new technology for building applications. It's become popular over the last 12 months because companies wanted a more agile way to create applications rapidly that could pivot with the times. Low-code is exactly that. We give you a platform to draw your application. It's lines and boxes. It looks like a flowchart, and that you call that a workflow. And then once you've drawn it, it executes. It runs as software. Instead of writing code, you're drawing shapes. Instead of using a keyboard, you're largely using a mouse. It's a very human way to communicate your intentions to a computer. And it's also extremely adaptable. It's great for bringing together the resources across an enterprise. And it's also great for adjusting to change. Like, for example, if people start using your applications in a new way, well, the low-code platform is very good at supporting new patterns of usage or changes in strategy. It's a very flexible, agile piece of technology.
Yeah, I mean, I remember asking you about this the last time we spoke, but it's reminded me of the object-oriented programming push of the late 80s and early 90s, but this is obviously much more sophisticated. And another way of really simplifying it is it's like having Lego blocks. You can build whatever you want in a really simple way without having to bring out all of the cement and the trowels and all the rest.
I love that analogy. I'm a big fan. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Now, it's nearly mid-2021, and many had hoped that last year that COVID-19 would be a lot more under control than it is. And while the vaccine rollout in the US is strong, and we also see a disaster unfolding in India, 2020 was the year of the hyper-accelerated digital transformation. And of course, as your book explains, hyper-automation. So what additional lessons have you and Appian learned since we last spoke, that 8-month time frame? How has the low-code revolution matured? I mean, I hear people talking about no-code, and everyone sort of jumped on this bandwagon that you've been on for quite some time, leading the industry. And how's it matured and evolved to date? And what percentage of businesses are now adopting this low-code approach?
It's super widespread. Let me first of all say that you're so right about how when an idea gets popular, it loses salience or it loses focus. People aren't sure what it means because everybody wants to say that what they do is that thing. So low code was well understood until about 1 year ago. And then as soon as everybody wanted to do it, it seems like it's got 10 different meanings. I read that as largely a good sign. We've been in low code since the beginning. We were the first company to go public as a low code firm. We own lowcode.com. We've been here for a long time. We're here to stay. We're inventing this industry, and I think it's a great industry. It's going to empower people. The reason it's popular is because of that empowerment, because it put control back in the hands of the developer, allowed them to quickly create a piece of software, adjust that software, adapt that to new usage patterns. It is a tool for these times. For times of change, companies have gone to low code. That's why it's popular today. That's why traffic on the term has doubled. That's why companies are talking about it 10 times as much as they used to. And that's why so many firms are now saying that they have a low code product.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, earlier this month, you held Appian World 2021, which of course was held virtually again, as so many things are these days. And you explained how intelligent automation drives real-world ROI and a lot more. So what was the theme of this year's event, and what were some of the big announcements in for example, how low-code has improved in 2021 over what you could do last year?
It was a terrific show, and I'm really proud of it. And you're right, we had some key announcements, and I'll take just a moment to let you know what they are.
Please.
The low-code market is now merging with the automation market to make a low-code automation combined market. This makes all the sense in the world. Low code is about building applications by drawing a workflow. And automation is about using a workflow to allocate work between different kinds of workers like RPA and AI and people. So they're both fundamentally about workflow. And then furthermore, they're complementary, synergistic in what they do. Low code is about planning the work you're going to do. Automation is about doing it. So the two fit together like two hemispheres make a sphere. It made tremendous sense to bring them together. We've done that. We've got a single product with a single price. It includes every part of low code and every part of automation. It installs together. It has a common look and feel. We've really brought this together. We're the first, but I don't think we'll be the only one for very long. I think the synergy between these two markets makes so much sense. Others are going to have to catch up. The second major announcement we made was low code data. We've been doing low code application building for a long time. And low code application building is building, of course, the application. You using the drawing on the lines, it's using a mouse to create an application. But the hardest part of that has always been the data. Building the data part of it means connecting to databases that are around the enterprise, knowing where to find what data, combining it in a performant manner, cleaning up dirty data, right, or joins that don't quite work. It's really hard. And you have to pretty much be a data expert in order to get data into your application. And as a result of that, many people who build applications have just skipped referring to external data and in effect wasted the data that should have been brought to bear on the decisions that are happening in that application. And it's a shame because that data is only valuable if you bring it to bear at the right time. So what we need to do is make it a lot easier to take data from anywhere and bring it to the moment of truth. When you make a decision or talk to a customer, you got to have the data at your fingertips so that you can do that in an informed manner. So what we're doing here with low-code data is to take all the data around the enterprise and make it objects out of it. Then the designer of a new application can drag and drop those objects just as easily as they could have dragged and dropped nodes and arrows into their workflow. Then once they've specified any data they want, and we've handled all the integrations and so on behind the scenes, we also pre-cache all the joins, so that not only can you access this data, you can access it in a performant manner. You can bring it back quickly, even if you're joining data from different sources, which you know how hard that is. We're making it easy and we're making it fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've all tried to import something from a spreadsheet or something into something else, and the fields are wrong and bits and pieces are in the wrong places. So to be able to get that and make it work seamlessly and properly is a huge achievement. But also, we always hear about companies getting the benefits of data mining their own information. I mean, data gives this granular visibility into things that were impossible 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 10 years ago, that not possible to the way that we have them today. And so, to hear that companies have been missing some of that data because I couldn't get the APIs right or it was too messy, and you've solved this problem, well, that obviously will be of great benefit to a lot of companies who will be joining what you're doing for the first time, or to augment existing projects with new sources of information that they weren't able to easily integrate before. And if that was one of the key themes of this year's conference, then I'm sure it was very popular.
It was, we're always hearing about how the most important asset of any organization in the 21st century is their data. And data, I just want to say that may be true, maybe, but data is only as valuable as it is at the moment you need it, right? And so if the moment you need the data, it's stuck in a silo and you can't access and you don't know what's there, then your data is not the most valuable thing in your enterprise. It's worthless. So connecting to data is as important as having data. I just want to say that. I just want to make the point that data is not valuable unless you connect to it and bring it to bear at the moment you're making a decision that's pertinent to that data.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like having all the answers in the Encyclopedia Britannica on the shelf that nobody refers to anymore, and I guess not being able to read or something. And I mean, knowledge is power, but only if you action it. Otherwise, it's as you say, it's just sitting in a silo. It's useless. And
was it Mark Twain who said a person who does not read has no advantage over a person who cannot?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's right. It's as if you couldn't do it. And of course, we all know that famous term in technology from, I guess, the 70s or earlier, but garbage in, garbage out. If the data is not the right data, then the answers you're going to get are the wrong answers. So I hear, and I'll ask you a bit more about the conference in a second, but I also hear, I get emails in my inbox saying, RPA is dead, the bubble's about to burst. And I guess these are from companies that want attention on what they're doing, but also it can be catchy to make some sort of bold statement. I mean, when you hear things like that, what do you think?
Yeah, well, the timing's kind of funny because UiPath just went public. They're primarily an RPA firm, and
That
they
was
work for
that was the company that was
so
saying that, yeah.
yeah, okay. So RPA is probably not a standalone product. I'll say this: I don't think it's dead. I don't think it's dead, but I do think that RPA is not an industry alone. I think we've passed through a period in which our industry is organized according to means, and we're passing into a period in which our industry will be organized according to ends,
Mm-hmm.
which is to say that companies that grew up separately, each to achieve a single means, will now efficiently come together to achieve a common ends. And I think we all understand that RPA is a means and not an ends.
Mm.
So it's going to be part of a portfolio. It's one good way to take an action, but it's better when you complement it with AI and with humans and with workflow and with other components that fill out the low-code automation concept. RPA by itself is an interesting tool, but incomplete. So we need to bring it together with other products. That's exactly what we're doing. I wouldn't be surprised to see others, including UiPath, follow a similar strategy. But RPA is not dead. It's useful. It does a thing well. It doesn't do everything well, and it needs to be combined and harnessed by a workflow before its full capabilities can be exposed.
I guess in listening to what you're saying, you could probably change that and saying that relying on RPA alone as a concept is dead. It's just one piece of the puzzle, and if you don't have all those other pieces, you're not going to have a complete picture.
Standalone RPA, maybe that's dead.
So back to the conference, what were some of the other really key takeaway points that you want the attendees to sort of have at top of mind as they're going about the rest of the year and the rest of everything they have to do?
I think an enormous pivot is underway, and I hope that they left the conference with an awareness of what's happening. In the past, software has been created, planned, and bought by IT organizations in order to solve the problem that confronts them today, with the context that confronts them today. And the result of that kind of a strategy is a certain flat-footedness in the face of change, an inability to pivot as fast as the world is changing.
Hmm.
Well, the world's changing pretty fast right now, and I think it's only going to get faster in the years ahead. And so now is no longer the time to make those expedient decisions that organizations have been making for a long time. The era of slow software, as I said in my keynote, is over. I think now we need to be building new applications as an investment in change, anticipating that there will be change, though we are unaware of what form it may take. We need software that's capable of pivoting, that's easy to change, that naturally keeps up with the times, that doesn't accumulate technical debt. And if you need to do something unexpected with it, it's ready. Take, for example, the surge in mobile usage over the past year. Worldwide, businesses experienced a 3x surge in corporate mobile usage, which is impressive, but it's not as impressive as it should have been. Appian mobile application usage was up by 20 times in the past 4 quarters. And the reason it was 20 is because we put absolutely no impediments in the way of mobile usage on any of our applications worldwide. Any user can simply log on from a mobile device. And so when we say there's 20x traffic on mobile devices, we're essentially saying that's our read on what the world wanted from their applications last year. They wanted 20 times as much mobile usage, and with Appian, they just got it. Now, with other applications, they only got 3/20ths, right? They only got 15% of the mobile usage they wanted from other applications. So it looks like a revolution. 3x is actually a huge stifling of demand and intended usage patterns. What we need now, what everybody needs now, is software that pivots. Software that's ready to be used in new ways, that keeps up with the present, and that does not force you to make a long, slow investment in change at the moment the change is needed.
And I'm assuming that those were the main themes of your keynote.
Yeah.
So naturally, people they can type in Appian World 2021 and register to watch a replay of all of the sessions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, definitely. It would be great to have them log in and watch it. the conference may be over, but you can still see the sessions. And with virtual conferences, a replay is just as good as the first one. So
That's right,
there's
yeah.
no time to wait. Just go ahead and log in and see what we had to say. It'll be like you're watching for the first time.
So, what are some of the most interesting ways that your customers are using Appian's low-code approach? And are there ingeniously clever things that customers are doing that have even surprised you and your colleagues, whether those things are related to COVID-19 and digital transformation or not?
Yeah, you can almost call all of it digital transformation. Digital transformation was always a very broad term. It had to do with being fast and agile and doing better for your customers and using new technologies to facilitate that. But that's such an open definition that I think basically everything we do counts as digital transformation one way or the other. Our customers are doing some really innovative things. So are our partners. Our partners are now writing solutions on our platform and selling them as packaged software. And it's taken off wonderfully. All of our major partners have written successful solution packages. That's one of the most exciting things that's happening with our software this year. I mentioned the mobile usage. That's just a thrill. By the way, I believe that mobile usage is the new necessary element, the new prerequisite for all corporate applications that get developed in the future. There's been a lot of talk so far this year about cloud, and I agree, but cloud is, Appian does cloud by default. That's not even we don't. Cloud is yesterday's news. Of course, you got to be in the cloud, but also everything's got to be mobile accessible, right? You got to be able to log in from mobile devices. This changes the world, by the way. You build an application today, you generally build it for one context, just the desktop, just this kind of device, just the device we issued, right? Now it's got to work on everything, right? That alone is a major reason why organizations should be thinking low code in the future, because on a low code platform, you build it once and it is automatically published to every platform. It runs natively on every mobile device. And in the future, when a new mobile device is invented, well, the platform is just going to publish a version of it for that mobile device. You don't even have to work. Your technical debt is obviated, and you didn't even have to lift a finger to make it happen. So the greater the overhead on every new application, the more customers will turn to a write once, deploy everywhere model, like you get with low code. And the more they'll shy away from writing it in lines of code, because then, of course, you got to rewrite your adapters for whatever new platform comes out. So mobile's a revolution, right? That's pretty exciting. I was delighted to see how much interest there was in using our platform that we spoke about this 8 months ago, probably, to fight COVID. We reached feature completeness on our workforce safety. It's in use in a lot of places. I used it myself today to get access to Appian's headquarters when I went into work. So it's in broad usage. Some of the best companies in the world are using it today to protect their employee bases. So that's very gratifying. It's wonderful that we've been able to help them in that regards. But the best of all is that we're at the forefront of societal change. I love the way businesses are becoming more agile, more responsive. In the future, we're going to look back on the years before 2020 and think, I can't believe how slow software was, how immutable it was. It used to be that it was like an anchor dragging behind your boat. You could hardly navigate for the fact that your software could not keep up with any corporate change you wanted to make. And we're going to cut that anchor chain in 2021. We're becoming an agile economy led by software instead of inhibited by software. That's a revolution. It's an empowering revolution. It's an exciting revolution. It's going to be better for companies. Customers are going to appreciate it very much. I think being part of that is really wonderful.
And it's also a great example of how digital transformation is an ongoing process of continuous improvement. That anchor that you talk about that was holding companies back, at the time in the 90s and the 2000s, it was like a jet engine, right? That was pushing companies along because they didn't have those advancements. But because the software and the technology became older and wasn't flexible and couldn't easily input data and didn't resize to different mobile devices, well, then that jet engine, which you don't find on boats, but I mean, it's sort of a funny analogy, sunk to become the anchor and was slowing companies down. And so, I'm struck by how many times companies have to sort of go, do digital transformation again to take the old and upgrade it to the new, and that can involve sweeping, completely old solutions out and replacing them with much more improved new ones. And of course, you are one of those companies that has the engine for the future. And of course, the engine that you have is something that you are improving all the time in real time because, well, that's how the way the world works in 2021 and this decade.
That's right. We've done a lot of rapid replacements over the past year. We've had many a customer. By the way, we've gotten far more customers than we've ever gotten over the past year, and a bigger size of deals as well. And they come to us, and so frequently they say, "We've got a process. It's just not fast enough. It's not going to change fast enough. It can't keep up with the times. Maybe we've got 30 applications, and they're all intertangled, and we need to just replace them. Can you build a substitute for all of that and make it modern and have it stay modern and be fast to build and be cheaper?" And the answer is absolutely. This is exactly what we've been doing all year. Technology today is so much faster. I think the thing that would have surprised customers most, if they don't work with low-code yet, is just how much faster it's going to be to build something that does the same thing as that old system that's weighing you down, that anchor that we were talking about. That anchor might have taken 3 years to build, but you're going to replicate it in 3 months, and it's going to be far better, and it's going to cost less to maintain. Technology now makes it so much easier to build these applications than it used to. Some companies still don't understand the speed boost that we're achieving now.
Yeah, and that is the promise of technology. Technology is meant to make our lives faster, simpler, easier. It's not meant to make our lives more complicated. I mean, so many people, I show them on their smartphone that they can talk to their phone, that they can compose messages and emails by text, that they can ask their phones to do things. These are all simple things. But people are using their 2021 iPhone as though it was the iPhone from 2010, and shifting that mindset so that people actually realize that all these capabilities are there, and you don't have to go through, months-long courses. You can just ask your phone to do these things for you, and they're like, their mind is blown. I mean, I'm sure there must be, as you said before, some really mind-blowing things that customers have realized. I didn't realize that this amount of change had happened, and it had become this sophisticated and mature. And you're leading that.
You notice how the trend in technology used to be efficiency, and now it's empowerment. Like, that's a great pivot. All right, it's one thing to pivot the way a business runs. It's another to just turn the economy from tech as a source of cost savings to tech as a source of adaptation, change, leadership, customer service. That in itself, it's an exciting thing to witness.
Yeah. Oh, and also, it's well known that a technology has become successful, or something has become successful, when it becomes an invisible part of your life. You don't have to think about it anymore. You flick the light switch, the light comes on. You turn the tap, the water comes on. You get your phone out, and you don't have 2G or 3G, that's stumbling along. You've got 5G, you've got millimeter wave 5G. I mean, things are just happening. You don't have to think. And that's the shift, the mindset that is clearly happening. It happens all the time in history and in technology, but that's the one that's happening now, and that's the wave you're riding.
Yeah.
So look, as we discussed in our previous interview, you're such a huge fan of board games that you've even created your own. And I encourage people to watch the previous interview. We talk about Gary Kasparov and all sorts of incredible stuff. But have there been any major developments in the world of board games over the last year and a half of lockdowns? Is there any kind of low-code board game or app that can teach kids in school the value of the low-code way of thinking, that is fun to play and sneakily educational at the same time? Sort of gamifying low-code for the masses. And are you working on any new board games yourself?
Well, I am actually. I just sent the final version to the publisher today. It's a chariot racing board game, and it may be published around the end of the year. Mm-hmm. I'd be delighted to send you a copy, see what you think of it. But I'll tell you, I've worked on games, but I haven't played them very much. It's hard to get friends together. And one of the things I really love about board games is that it brings people together in person. To me, it's not the same to play it online. And so I don't. I wait until I can convene people. So that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to for maybe the autumn, is hopefully bringing friends back together and having a game.
And then the whole thing about teaching low code to children in school, creating games, whether they're on your iPhone or iPad or board games that teach this whole low code concept. Have you or anyone else done anything around that to get it down to younger students?
Sometimes I say to my development team that we're going to be finished when children can write applications, right? That's really the goal. I think that low code's not exactly a game, but it shares some commonalities with a game. It's very spatial, it's intuitive, and it's a gateway to something important. A game can be a preparation for real life behavior in that it hones your ability to optimize your actions, and it gives you a feedback loop to understand whether you're doing things well or not. Well, it's like, therefore it's a function, right, where you start with a small action and you gain something with it in a big action. Same with low code. You're starting with a small action and you get feedback and you create something big. So I find there to be commonalities, and I'm a very spatial thinker, so low code appeals to me in some of the same ways that a board game appeals to me. It's a map, it's a graph, it's a logical progression, there's decision points. That makes a lot of sense to me. So I definitely see the commonalities, and yes, we do some educational programs. Where we're actually developing a course on low code that's going to be taught at a university or two. And for that matter, we do programs at other educational institutions. In one case, we're working with a class in downtown Washington where our goal is to just give them the opportunities they deserve: teaching, mentoring, insights, opportunities. And then in another case, we actually run a gaming league in the area around our headquarters, and we gather kids from middle schools all around, and then they have tournaments and they play after school, things like that.
Yeah, it's sort of like a gaming hackathon, I guess, as well. And
What do you think about that?
and yeah, and I mean, I'm just trying to sort of simplify, but also, if you complete the app, it's like finishing the level, and if you then make version 2 of the app, it's like running through the game. It's like those speedrunners, they figure out how to do the game a second time, and then they discover levels they hadn't seen before. And I mean, if you think of gamifying things, I was at a Dyson event where they have their brand new vacuum cleaner that has the laser that shows you the dust that was always there, but that the vacuum cleaner wasn't picking up. And on the back of the vacuum cleaner, that's showing you the different levels of dust and the different sizes, which the little piezo sensor is picking up. And they're talking about how just vacuuming your floor can be like a game, because this guy, the guy from Dyson was vacuuming this area, and they were picked up 20 million pieces of dust. And so he was joking about how the next time they clean, they want to see if they can beat the high score. So you can gamify anything, and I don't think you would have ever thought that vacuum cleaners would be discussed in an Appian interview, but there you go.
You throw a little bit of augmented reality in there, it could literally be a game.
That's it.
That's
it. Yeah. So look, to wrap it all up, and you have explained, where the industry is heading, but how else do you sort of see the industry heading? I mean, what might be happening in low code next year or the year after? What will it be able to offer businesses in 5 or 10 years' time that you're already planning for and preparing for today?
Yeah. In 5 or 10 years, I believe it'll be the primary way to create applications in the enterprise. I think we're going to move beyond code, and low code is going to be the means of creating the majority of corporate applications. I think low code is going to continue to empower employees, to give corporations agility, to reduce technical debt, and give customers a better experience. As such, I see it as a transformative, a revolutionary technology, and I expect to see a lot of growth in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of computers with punch cards and all those telecoms operators that used to have to pull the cables out of the switchboard, I mean, the technology is, in today, it's the way we use it is kind of the low code way. I mean, we don't have to think about writing things in assembly or typing code from the computer magazines to get that little game running in BASIC. And so that whole shift.
Think of low code as another step in a long evolution.
Yeah.
More and more human-centric means of communicating our wishes to a machine.
Yeah. And natural language user interfaces interacting with technology as though it was as intelligent as human beings. Well, Matt, It's always fascinating to talk to you. I really enjoy it. I hope we can talk again in the future. I love to learn what you're doing. And
well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So best of luck with Appian in 2021. And as I said, I hope we can talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.